The ancient pyramids of Egypt have been a theme of fascination for humanity for centuries. These historical structures of the Ovenaria are scattered throughout the Egyptian landscape and are living proof that the ancient Egyptian civilization was much more advanced than archaeologists and historians previously thought. In the past, there were many speculations and theories about how these pyramids came about. Some of them were simple, having a logical approach that the workers built the pyramids that were designed by some incredibly talented architects. However, there are also some people who think outside the box. Some of them even proposed that these pyramids, especially those of Giza, were built by extraterrestrial beings. And believe it or not, the incredibly famous technological billionaire Elon Musk is among the people who believe in the theory of extraterrestrials. Before we continue, just take 1 second to subscribe to this channel. We will be releasing some unbelievable discoveries soon and you wouldn't want to miss them. According to sources, at least 118 Egyptian pyramids have been identified so far. About 80 of these were built within the Kush kingdom, which is now located in the modern country of Sudan. Located in modern times, Egypt was mainly built as a tomb for the pharaohs and their consorts during the periods of the Old and Middle Kingdoms. The first known pyramids in Egypt were discovered in Saqqara, northwest of Memphis. But the most fascinating and popular pyramids around the globe are found in the Giza Pyramids complex. This magnificent complex of pyramids is also called the Necropolis of Giza. It is the place on the Giza Plateau, in Cairo, Egypt, which includes the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Pyramid of Khafre, and the Pyramid of Menkaure and their associated pyramid complexes. The place also contains the Great Sphinx of Giza. All these structures were built between 2600 and 2500 BC, during the 4th dynasty of the ancient kingdom of Egypt. According to historians, besides the pyramids and the Sphinx, there are also remains of many cemeteries and villages of workers in the necropolis of Giza. The place is located on the banks of the Western Desert, about 9 kilometers west of the Nile River, in the city of Giza, while it is about 13 kilometers southwest of the center of Cairo city. This entire complex, together with its neighbor Memphis, was listed on UNESCO World Heritage List in 1979. The Great Pyramid and the Khafre Pyramid are the two largest known pyramids for having been built in ancient Egypt. And they gained the status as common emblems of ancient Egypt in the Western imaginary throughout the centuries. The Giza Pyramid complex gained the attention of the world during the Hellenistic times when Antipater of Sidon listed the Great Pyramid as one of the 7 wonders of the world and the oldest of the wonders that still exists. The Khufu Pyramid complex contains temples of valleys that are now buried under the village of Naslat al-Saman. Archaeologists discovered the pavement of diabolos and limestone walls in the Mullite, but they have not yet excavated this place. The valley temple was linked to a road, most of which was destroyed when the village was built. It elevated the Khufu funeral temple. The basalt pavement is the only sign left of this temple. This mortuary temple was also linked to the King's Pyramid, which was completed in 2560 BC. It has 3 smaller pyramids of the Queen and 3 shipyards. These shipyards actually contained a ship, and 2 wells on the south side also had intact ships inside them when they were excavated. One of them was the infamous Khufu ship, which was restored and is now on display at the Great Egypt Museum. The complex of the Khafre Pyramid consists of a Temple of the Valley, the Temple of the Sphinx, a road, a mortuary temple, and the King's Pyramid. Inside the Temple of the Valley, countless statues of Khafre were found. Many other statues were also discovered under the temple floor by Mariette in 1860. The pyramids of Khafre were completed in 2570 BC. It appears larger than the nearby Khufu Pyramid due to its higher location and the more accentuated angle of inclination, but in reality, it is smaller in height and volume. This pyramid retains a prominent exposition of involucral stones at the top. The Menkaure Pyramid also consists of the Valley Temple, a cow's awe, a mortuary temple, and the King's Pyramid. There were many Menkaure statues in the Valley Temple in the past. A smaller anti-temple was added to the Valley Temple during the 5th dynasty. The Funeral Temple also contained many Menkaure statues. This pyramid was completed in 2510 BC and has 3 subsidiary pyramids. The Menkaure Temple is the only one of the 4 main monuments in the Giza Pyramid complex that has none of its original pieces of intact polished limestone. The Great Sphinx of Giza goes back to the reign of King Khafre. It is a limestone statue of a reclaimed sphinx turned directly from west to east. It is located on the plateau of Giza, on the west bank of the Nile River. Its face represents the pharaoh, Khafre. According to archaeological evidence, the Great Sphinx was created by ancient Egyptians of the Old Kingdom between 2557 and 2532 BC. Queen Khentkhau was also buried in Giza. Her tomb was named LG 100 and G 8400. It is located in the central area, near the valley of the Temple of Menkaure. The complex of the Queen's Pyramid also consists of its pyramid, a boat, a valley temple, and a pyramid city. Most of the theories about the construction of the Giza pyramids are based on the idea that they were built by moving huge stones and gigantic rocks from a quarry. They were supposedly dragged and lifted in one place, but many specialists disagree about the viability of this method and proposed alternative methods by which these stones were moved and placed one on top of the other. Some archaeologists speculated that the architect at the time could have developed his techniques over time. They probably selected a relatively flat part of the rocky bed that worked as a stable foundation. After careful research, they established the first level of stones and built the pyramids horizontally, one above the other. Almost all the stone inside the Great Pyramid was apparently immediately extracted south of the Workers' Cove. A fine growl of limestone, which was extracted through the Nile River, was used to create the smooth exterior of the pyramid. The blocks that formed the exterior had to be carefully cut and were transported using a floating boat and dragged by ramps to the Workers' Cove. Only some exterior blocks are still at the bottom of the Great Pyramid, since most of them were removed for construction projects in Cairo between the 5th and 15th centuries. In order to maintain the symmetry of the pyramid, all its exterior foundation stones were cut to be equal in height and width. The workers probably marked all the blocks to indicate the angle of the pyramid wall, then carefully cut the surfaces to make these blocks fit. All three sides of the Pyramid of Giza were astronomically oriented to north, south, and east-west. According to specialists who defend the theory of the correlation of Orion, this arrangement of pyramids represents the constellation of Orion. This theory of the fringe postulates that the three largest pyramids of Giza and the Orion belt of the constellation of Orion are correlated. This was intentionally done by the original builders of the Pyramid of Giza. The stars of Orion were frequently associated with Osiris, the god of the Renaissance, and life after death in Egyptian mythology. However, Ed Krupp from the Griffith Observatory, Los Angeles, and Tony Farrell from the University of Cape Town, South Africa, independently investigated the allegations made by Robert Bulval, Graham Hancock, Anthony West, and other authors who argued in favor of the correlation theory Orion. His critical analysis made holes in this theory, mainly based on the angle less than ideal between the alignment of Orion's waist and the north during the era cited by Hancock, Bulval, and other supporters of the correlation theory of Orion. Another incredibly well-studied theory about the construction of the pyramids of Giza is shared by Elon Musk in 2020. He may be the richest man in the world, or at least the second, but some of his opinions and controversial movements made people consider that he may not be the smartest. Tesla's CEO, the new owner of Twitter, irritated the Egyptians with a bizarre statement he made in a tweet. Musk wrote in his tweet that the Great Pyramids of Giza were obviously built by aliens. As expected, the tweet went viral, and the army of critics also turned against him. Many Dutch and Dutchmen were perplexed by the man of science and technology spreading theories of such a silly conspiracy. The Minister of International Cooperation of Egypt was determined not to let the aliens get the gold from the hard work and efforts of the ancient Egyptians and put their sweat and blood into the construction of the colossal structures. Hani al-Mashit responded to Musk's tweet, which was retweeted almost 84,000 times. He wrote, "I follow your work with great admiration. I invite you to SpaceX to explore the writings on how the pyramids were built and also to check the tombs of the builders of the pyramids. Mr. Musk, we are waiting for you." It was not very clear if the technical billionaire was serious or just trying to be sarcastic, but most archaeologists believe that the tombs of the pyramid construction workers, discovered in the 90s, are the definitive proof that the magnificent structures were built by ancient Egyptian citizens, and not by some advanced aliens who landed on Earth in their silver discs. Zahra Hawass, an Egyptian archaeologist, responded to Elon's tweet, making a short video in Arabic that he posted on social media. In the video, he claimed that Elon Musk's argument was a complete and total hallucination. He also said, "I found the tombs of the builders of the pyramids that say to everyone that the builders of the pyramids are Egyptians and were not slaves." Elon Musk tweeted later a link to the BBC History website about the lives of the workers of the construction of the pyramids. He also wrote, "This BBC article provided a sensible summary of how this was done." This calmed down a little bit the horrified users on Twitter who realized that, like many of their tweets, this was also just an erratic muse of a peculiar billionaire. It was always a wrong conception that the Great Pyramids of Egypt were built by thousands of slaves. Some texts have come to the point of stating that these slaves were whipped and beaten if they did not work, but detailed studies have shown that the opposite is true. The pyramids were really built by skilled craftsmen, paid workers, and farmers. The extraction, movement, assembly, and sculpture work of the huge number of stones used to build the pyramids were actually made by several thousand workers. The Greek historian Herodotus was informed by the Egyptian priests that the Great Pyramid had taken 400,000 men to build, working shifts of 3 months, of 100,000 men at a time. However, evidence from the tombs suggests that a workforce of 10,000 workers, working shifts of 3 months, took about 30 years to build a single pyramid. Outside the Great Stone Wall, around the pyramid complex of Giza, Mark Lehner and his team found a city where the pyramid workers used to live. The city is located southeast of the complexes of Kafr and Menkori. In this village of workers, archaeologists discovered community dormitories, bakeries, breweries, kitchens, a hospital, and even a cemetery. This city dates from the 4th dynasty between 2520 and 2472 BC. This was after the accepted time of Khufu and the conclusion of the Great Pyramid. According to Lehner and the ERA team, the development of this urban complex must have been very fast. All construction probably happened in the 30 to 50 years that extended through the kingdoms of Kafr and Menkori. Builders of the 2nd and 3rd pyramids of Giza, ceramic cases printed on seals, and stratigraphy were used to adapt the site by the team. From its analysis, the researchers concluded that this was one of the first urban settlements planned in the world, which dates back to the regions of 2 pyramid builders from Giza, Khafre, and Menkori. The Great Pyramids of Giza are colossal structures that keep archaeologists and historians disconcerted with the mysterious secrets they keep within themselves and the level of mental precision found in construction. These pyramids are the only evidence that the ancient Egyptians were capable of sophisticated constructions. In fact, detailed studies of these pyramids revealed that the Egyptians of the Old Kingdom had a vast set of knowledge, they had some impressive tools, and an incredible experience in the field of engineering. It is difficult to imagine how many of these insanely heavy structures came into existence. Archaeologists have tried to discover what kind of tools the ancient Egyptians used for construction. After all, it was not possible to build these gigantic pyramids without the help of some incredibly useful and last-generation tools. And it is not a secret. And it is not a secret. And that's not all. The analysis of the pyramids even more confused archaeologists because the accuracy of these structures and the mathematical precision are as futuristic as the tools and methods of construction employed in its conclusion. This level of precise calculation proves that the ancient Egyptians were far ahead of their time and all the structures they built were well thought out. The pyramids are much more than just an architectural wonder. Some even believe that the pyramids of Giza are among the first wonders of engineering known in history. Each aspect of the pyramids, including its location, has a hidden meaning. Now, specialists have revealed that the geographical location of the pyramids is also scientifically significant. Experts have tried to unravel the deepest and darkest secrets of the Egyptian pyramids for hundreds of years. But there is much that still remains hidden from archaeologists today. Modern scientists have confessed that the pyramids of Giza are not only perplexing for historians and engineers, but also for physicists. Along with geographical, constructive, and mathematical planning, the specialists also discovered that the pyramids were built keeping in mind the principles of thermodynamics as well. The rocky arrangements of these pyramids have kept archaeologists and engineers awake at night for years. Nothing in them is simple or primitive, and it is almost impossible to understand the perfection with which these were assembled to form the huge pyramids. Another mystery of the Egyptian pyramids that modern archaeologists and historians cannot solve is the construction of the rotating doors that keep the entrance of the Khufu pyramid. After all, these pyramids house the mortal remains of some of the most important ancient Egyptian kings, and their precious ones belong, believe it or not. What is inside these pyramids is even more fascinating than its exterior glory. In addition to the chambers full of ancient artifacts, sarcophagi, and scrolls, the tunnels hidden inside these pyramids also attract hundreds of thousands of tourists each year. While the ancient Egyptians adhered to the principles of trigonometry, astronomy, and engineering, they also kept in mind their spiritual afflictions. Scientists are often quick to forget that the ancient Egyptian civilization adored several different gods and also dealt with curses. The pyramids of Egypt are undoubtedly considered among some of the most beloved archaeological sites today, but that was not always the case. Certain kings of the old times tried their best to eradicate these magnificent structures on the face of the earth, but fortunately, they were not completely successful. Experts hope that with new technologies and more detailed studies, they can be able to discover the complex and evasive secrets of the Egyptian pyramids in the near future. But for now, they can only marvel at the challenge that is ancient Egyptian civilization. Tell everyone what you think here in the comments section. Thanks for watching.